Some carriers will give you just one measly entertainment subscription. One is no fun. With Verizon, there's up to 7 entertainment subscriptions with your unlimited plan. That's 7 times the... 7 times the... No! 7 times the... Music, gaming, Disney+, Hulu, ESPN+, and more. That's 7 times the entertainment! Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
We are making the virtual HBCU experience available wherever you live through Stillman Online. We offer online degrees in business, criminal justice, psychology, and religion. Stillman also offers technology badges in cybersecurity and data analytics. You can participate in all student activities, fraternities and sororities, internships, graduation ceremonies, and much more. Apply for admission today at stillman.edu. Stillman College, where we prepare you for a different world.
The new GMC Sierra with hands-free driving offers the most advanced and luxurious pickup in its class. Yeah, it rocks.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Are you ready? It's time. The inaugural Urban NerdCon is coming to Montgomery, Alabama, July 29th through the 31st. Blurs, nerds, and geeks from across the universe will converge on the capital city to see celebrity guests such as The Last Dragon, Tybok, Megan Tandy, and voice actor Dave Fennoy.
Hey, how you doing? I'm voice actor Dave Fennoy with a shout out to all my geeks, freaks, and urban nerds. Just want to let you know I'm going to be there and I want to meet you at the Urban NerdCon Gaming and Cosplay event. It's happening July 29th through the 31st in Montgomery, Alabama. Hope you want to meet me as much as I want to meet you.
So join us by visiting theurbannerdcon.net for ticket and vendor information. This will be the premier blurred event in the universe. theurbannerdcon.net. Our heroes, our villains, our stories, everyone's con. See you there.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat.
Ooh, yeah, that's nice. Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
Pick something we all like.
Okay, hold on.
What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Q Time is a classic Atlanta soul food restaurant located in the historic West End. Q Time Soul Food is a family business started by Fred and Christine Crenshaw. Come on in, relax, and sink your chops into our tantalizing, mouth-watering, distinctive soul food with a twist, the Q Time way. 1120 Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard, or call your order in at 404-758-2881. Do you miss your mama's cooking? Then come on down to Q Time, an Urban Passport member.
Good people, once again, you've got the grumpy old nerds in your ear. As always, it is I, your Uncle John, your elder who knows way too damn much about TV, movies, and comic books. And as usual, we have our cast of characters in this particular circus. Starting with, and I still miss the booty chair, but that's okay. Uncle Percy, how you doing, sir?
Doing great.
You don't sound great. Okay. Also, we have the Red Bone Assassin, Uncle DJ. What's good, Doctor? I'm gonna let you get that swig in before I ask you again. How you going? How's it going, sir?
I was going to tell you this is good.
Yes, I see. And as always, from the planet of Florida, by way of the galaxy of Brooklyn, we have Uncle Rod. What's good, Doctor?
What's up, good people? How y'all doing? I see our guest is in right on time, ready to roll too.
Yes,
hey,
sir.
Look at that, man. You can't beat that with a big stick. We're missing Auntie Nicole today, which hopefully everything is okay, and she'll be back with us next week. And as always, behind the scenes is Uncle Roy doing his thing with his many things. And we are happy to welcome today our special guest, Mr. Anthony Montgomery. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you, fellas?
All right.
Doing good, doing well. Thank you for joining us today. And anything that may come out of Uncle DJ's mouth, please just ignore it and proceed with thought.
Come on, man.
Yes, I'm picking on you. So, Anthony, what we generally do on this show, we begin with a segment called I Would Be Remiss. And after we discuss that, we're going to go right into you, if that's okay. Feel free to hang out with us as long as you like. Sir, again, much tomfoolery and ridiculousness ensues. So if you feel the need to escape, do that too.
I will. I have my 12-year-old, and if any of you guys have kids, especially sons at 12, my attention is definitely needed. I told him, you got it all right for a little bit while Dad takes care of some stuff. So I'll be with you guys for a while, but then, yeah, I'm definitely going to have to dip out because we're on homework duty, bringing it in so we can get him finished with straight A's for the next week and a half, trying to get him to wind up with all A's for his first report card. His first, like,
It is.
he's finishing sixth grade, so these are all the grades that will stay with him for the rest of his scholastic career. And
Yeah.
right now, he's got straight A's. So I'm just like, he's like, but I want to play my video game. Yeah, the game isn't going to get you into college. No.
No,
So
please.
That
we're
permanent
focusing
record,
right
baby.
Now, not to take his side, but you know, colleges have these EA sports teams now. So if he needs to sharpen his skills,
you know what? And when he takes care of everything else, Dad has no problem giving him time to sharpen those skills. But we're not going to sharpen the sports skills in lieu of doing the other requirements. Nah. Dad has a high school diploma and a college degree. His mom has a master's in business. Like, he's got to take care of the scholastic whether he wants to or not. That's just what it is.
Yeah, that's a mandate, though.
I can't. Look, you tell him that Uncle John tried to help him out. But
and I appreciate it. I'm sure he will appreciate it too.
Well, I love it. I love it. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say I love it that Uncle John is trying to tell somebody about video games when he don't know nothing about EA Sports.
Video games.
It's actually esports, but that's okay.
Well, that's not true. He does play. John does play Madden.
He plays Madden. Okay, that's why he said EA Sports. It's actually esports, but that's okay. We'll let that go.
But isn't it?
Yeah, they changed it up. That's hilarious.
So, all right. Well, before we go any further down that particular rabbit hole,
I would be remiss
if I did not mention the wave on comedian crime that's going on in our nation right now. So I'm past the point of caring, but I just find this amusing that we have two comedians who both felt that they were supposed to be headlining in a particular show in Detroit have come out and, as comedians do, talked about each other to such a degree that I cringe every time I hear or see their names in a headline. Monique and D.L. Hughley were both told that they were going to headline a show at the Fox Theater in Detroit. And much to Monique's displeasure, DL ended up headlining, meaning that he came on last. So Monique came on and tore him a new one. I don't know if any of you have seen the footage of her and what she was talking about with DL, but she went in to question his sexuality. She went in to question his manhood.
What?
She went in to question
come
how
on.
he handles his business. And, you know, DL the next day responded with saying that the role of Precious was not a role, but it was autobiographical for Monique, and went in on her about what was going on. So essentially, both comedians were told they would headline. When they got to the venue, Monique was told she would go first. And Monique said that she was a queen of comedy and she don't open for nobody no more. She'd been in this business 30 years in the game, ... DL came back and said, well, if I'm going first, I'm not going to perform and I'm going home. So Monique, again, took the opportunity to say, okay, I'll go on first, and went on stage and acted a complete ass. So DL, in turn, acted an ass the next day on the interwebs. And now we have a situation where, again, we as Black people have two entertainers who we hold in some high regard, going back and forth with each other. I want to say for ego purposes, but let's be honest, a headliner gets a little bit more money than the other person who's performing. So
but that's also a negotiation. It's ego purposes, because if she could have spoken to them and negotiated, well, you said I was going to be a headliner, so even if I open, I still want to get the pay that is afforded to the headliner. That squashes your entire argument right there.
And I agree with that. And I also say, why air your dirty laundry? That became a part of her act that night. And why air your dirty laundry? The people came wanting to hear a comedy show. Now, of course, you had people in the audience who were excited about the fact that she was talking about the other person on the bill. And it was actually kind of disturbing to hear the reaction of her talking about DL. And then she went in on Oprah and Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels again. In which case, I thought she had mended fences with them. But, you know.
I thought so too.
Yeah. So now we've got Monique, who's pretty much fighting with everybody, who doesn't agree with her particular way of thinking. And you got DL coming back and them going back and forth on the interwebs. And to be very honest, I'm really sick of. I wish we could go back to the days before the internet where all this personal drama was not aired and we didn't know it was happening. And it just has become so out of control that the people who we look up to for whatever reason are now letting us down so spectacularly, being petty with each other and going back and forth. So I would be remiss if I did not call all of this stupid.
I was actually just wondering where you'd be remiss to do what, because I was just wondering what was the purpose of, yes, it's all nonsensical. We all love them to be in that space. So the more oxygen we give to it, the more it will fester in the ether. So you were remiss. I was wondering what your remission was you had to mention that it's all foolishness and they need to get over themselves. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely.
Got it. Okay, I follow things, but it has to make sense to me. I'm like, all right, make it make sense, because I didn't even know about any of this until you just said it all. I had no idea that any of that was even going on.
And to be honest,
I found out kind of late too.
When I first mentioned it, that none of you knew what I was talking about. I was like, okay, this is
no
spectacular.
idea.
And I feel bad.
I knew.
It up, so
I saw the article, but I just didn't dig into it.
I was just waiting for you to ask us our opinion about it. That's all.
Okay, well, Percy, what is your opinion about it?
Roy, put up the disclaimer first.
Oh,
he can't put it up.
Well, Anthony, I was going to ask you, is your 12-year-old in the room?
No, he's in his room.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well,
no. Oh, yeah. If there's going to be some grown folks talking.
Auntie Nicole, hey, how you doing, sweetheart? Good to see you.
Hey, guys. I'm having a couple of technical difficulties, and I'm still at work, but I had to make sure I got on tonight. So
that's what I'm talking about. That's dedication to the craft. Thank you, Auntie Nicole. So, Percy, please give us your short and sweet opinion.
Since Auntie Nicole's on the show now, I will simply say, screw that C, because she's out of her crazy mind, and for her to come out on stage and just talk about DL like that didn't make any sense. That should have been between the promoter. She just did the show because she was going to get paid one way or the other as the same amount of money. It wasn't going to change. Just go out and do the show, and then afterwards, sit the DL and just figure something out, because he said on his radio show he had 3 other dates with her. Now he's like, I will never work with her, because apparently every time somebody tries to help her, she comes right back and start yelling and screaming and hollering, hey, this MF is doing this MF is doing that to me, screw them, da 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 da. So I think she got some issues, but I would just leave her alone, period. That's the nice version. I wait till Grumpy Old Nerds After Dark to really say what I want to say.
Come on,
Adult
DJ,
Swim, Grumpy Nerds.
You want to say about this?
No, I mean, I that's really not my purview. These, I mean, my only thing is I just don't get it. If you're trying to, you're trying to get a deal with Netflix, you're trying to, you talk about how you got 30 in the game and blah, blah, blah. You should be getting more respect. But you're burning bridges, left and right all over the place by not being professional, calling out mugs. I know the man's name is DL, but you ain't got to say that, that's what he's doing. Wow.
I didn't realize that's
what happened. She literally said that on stage.
Yeah,
on stage.
I'm just saying, like, you trying to prove that you're, all this. I mean, Hollywood is nothing if not political. So, she's shooting herself in the foot constantly.
I'd like to approach this from another angle, and I'm probably giving this, like Anthony said, I'm giving this more oxygen than it deserves. But I look at Monique as someone who is spectacularly talented, and I'm wondering, has anyone really? We've seen in the public eye where Whoopi tried to pull her to the carpet, where Steve Harvey tried to pull her to the carpet, and kind of explain to her how what she's doing isn't wrong, but she's just going about it the incorrect way. And I'm wondering who is in her corner that's telling her to just blow up the spot like this. And is there
Her
no
daddy.
one who can just kind of get? Yeah, I know. Is there no one who can just kind of help her and see her husband is not the guy who needs to help
Yeah.
her? She needs an old head like Whoopi or maybe a Steve Harvey to come along and say, Monique, and they've actually tried to say, Monique, this isn't necessarily the way that you go about handling your business. Can we handle it another way? And it's disappointing because she's talented, but she goes on stage and talks about
If you
so
say
and so
so.
sucking this and such. What is the issue? So I don't know. I really feel bad about her with this.
It's
So
immature. It's immature. It's unnecessary. It's giving comedy a bad name, more of a bad name. It's making things look worse on comics, and
Right.
I think that even if somebody were to kind of, because so many people have tried to kind of intervene and do interventions with her, I feel like at this point, um, I don't think anyone's gonna really make a difference, and this is gonna be this. If it's gonna be a change, it's gonna be coming from within her. Like something's going to have to happen where she's going to have to make a decision within
I don't know if
herself
you guys can hear
to
me
make some
that well
changes.
because of my technical difficulties, so sorry about that. But I think in a way, it's almost like it's the same thing again as you have to be able to like present a problem, but still have some finesse about it. When you're dealing with these Hollywood elites and all this other kind of stuff, I mean, Will Smith, he got lucky. You know what I'm saying? In some respects, all he got was, barred from the Oscars for 10 years, you know what I'm saying, so to speak, and stuff. But she's already been blackballed. And this kind of just, I mean, they've already made her out to be problematic. You know what I'm saying? And even if she has, I mean, for instance, we already know that there's a gender pay gap in different areas in Hollywood and everything. We got that. That is an important message, but it's getting lost in I think the delivery. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these
right,
Hollywood elites and people who run these shows and things like that, they don't want to speak ghetto or speak, aggravation or getting cussed out or whatever it is. That's why Netflix was like, bye. You know what I'm saying? And stuff. I mean, for all we know, she could have did the Netflix and then turned around and did something bigger. You know what I'm saying? And such, if she showed that, you know, her being blackballed wasn't necessary. She still can be a professional person and show that she can work with others and so on like that. But even if she's right, all people see now is problematic, you know what I'm saying, way of her delivery. And
right.
people are not going to want to be around her. So despite the good message, so to speak, it's lost.
Yeah. So just to make sure that our guest wants to be around us again, we're gonna leave that alone and welcome our special guest, Anthony Montgomery. Once again, welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us. Now,
I appreciate you
brother,
guys. Thanks for having me.
hey, I gotta ask you, man. One of my favorite films. Tell us about Leprechaun in the Hood.
You are too funny.
Yes,
You
sir.
are. I was like, right as you said that, I said he's gonna say the Leprechaun movie. Watch. Hilarious. You know what? That was. It feels like a lifetime ago. It
I
was not
believe it.
long after I got to Hollywood, and I've got a couple things on my resume that I took, and I regret taking. I used to regret taking that one. There's one that I hate worse, but at the end of the day, they didn't stop me from having a successful career in the industry. So,
Right.
The Leprechaun movie, Warwick Davis is fantastic. The guy who plays the Leprechaun, he was in
Yeah.
Willow, the movie Willow.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Super
Yes.
nice guy. Great guy. I met his, I'm assuming they're still together. I don't know, but I met his wife and his daughter at the time. He's a wonderful human being. I had a blast working with him. It was a lot of fun working with Ice-T and this was, let's see, because this was, I moved out here in 96. So this would have been around 97 or so. I feel like it was about 97, 98. So this was pre Law and Order Ice-T. So I was getting the pure, still uncut version of him. As he was making his way. But I mean,
Right.
super. I mean, he's a dope human being himself. No pun intended. Gave everybody that was on set with him all kinds of game, just from his perspective of starting in the streets like he did, transitioning over to being on the acting side of it, and how the two kind of worked hand in hand. A lot of the lessons that he learned, he was able to. Oh, somebody wrote something. He was able to translate into the Hollywood game that we're now playing. So yeah, it was. I loved working on the Leprechaun movie, working with Rashawn Nall and Red Grant. You guys know the comedian Red Grant?
Yes. Yes.
He's we were all a part of a rap group, as anybody that saw it remembers. Hilarious.
Right.
Of course.
But it was a lot of fun.
Now I have a
So,
question.
go
I have a
ahead,
question real quick, but before I get into that,
Yes.
Anthony, you are a great man, and I know this for certain because, if I'm not mistaken, your birthday is June 2nd.
My birthday is tomorrow, sir. Yes.
June 2nd,
Yes.
1971, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, you just putting all my business out. Yes.
No, I say that. I say that because we share the same birthday, sir. Gemini season. What's up?
My man, happy birthday. I'm just like, yeah, but you're not an actor trying to keep working, doing stuff where they're trying to cast you younger than what you are. So
Hey,
happy birthday.
You got to blame that on IMDb.
You got a face for it, bro. Don't worry about it. Black don't crack. You could do that all day.
I appreciate it. Trying to get the executive decision makers in Hollywood to see that is not as easy as you are saying, but I thank you for it.
Well, what we
My
normally
man.
say.
And happy birthday to you. Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Same to you, brother. We
Thank you.
normally when guests come on the show, we have a thing called like an origin story. So tell me, what's your origin story, and how did you get started in the biz?
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a cryptic version of it because I am actually writing. I've written my memoir, and I'm in the editing process of that. And my memoir is my origin story. I start from being raised in Indianapolis, in Indiana. I start with my birth date, so I tell the hospital that I was born in.
Right.
I tell how I got started in the business, how I started performing at a young age, and I was in the choir when I was younger, but I didn't really want to be in the choir. I was because my mom was in the choir, and that's just, I loved watching them perform. And I think eventually my mom said that I asked to be in it, but there was never this performance energy that I know is in my soul. I didn't feel that when I was in the choir. I didn't get to the performer that I am until later. But that's essentially where I started performing. And then I used to choreograph. I was a dancer back in Indiana, and I used to choreograph hip hop. I was in a group called the Bad Boys. We won a bunch of contests. We were local celebrities. I left to go to college. A bunch of stuff happened. And again, I wrote all this in the book. A bunch of stuff happened. So I stopped dancing with that dance partner. But I've been a dancer my life. And then when I got to college in 90, I auditioned for a play. And it was a children's theater piece called East of the Sun, West of the Moon. I go into the story again. I'll tell people about it. The book, tentatively, the title is called My Trek, My Life. So if unless the distributor wants to change it, that will be the title. But just if anybody looks up Anthony Montgomery memoir, you will get more of this in depth. But essentially, I met the director of that children's theater piece when I was on my way to one of my general electives. When I started college, it was simply so that I could figure out what to do with my life, because most of the people that grew up where I grew up are either dead or in jail or simply existing until they die. They're not living lives that they're happy about, that they're proud of. They're not making a difference. And I knew that if I wanted to do something with my life, I had to get out of that situation or I was going to be relegated to just living that way. So I start college, but I don't know what I want to do. So I asked the person at the registrar, what classes does everybody have to take to graduate? Because even though I don't know what I want to do, tell me what those classes are. I'll sign up for those. And then I'm sure they say knowledge is key. So I'm sure I'll find whatever my path is going to be once I get into the school environment. And that's exactly what happened. I signed up for the general electives, math, English, whatever it was that I knew everybody had to have. And when I was on my way to class one day, this director was walking the opposite direction as me, and he told me I had a great look, asked me if I was an actor. I told him that I wasn't. He asked me if I wanted to audition for his play. I didn't even know what auditioning was. And he said, I'll give you the lines, I'll give you the dialogue. You read it however it makes you feel. You say it that way. And I said, that's it, because I'm from Indiana. So I had heard about casting couches and all kinds of other freaky stuff that, I was just being realistic. Like, I'm not, if that's what we're talking about and I could be in a play, then sure, I'll audition as long as that's what we're talking about. I learned over the years that there's a hell of a lot more that goes into acting than just that. But that was a simple introduction. I auditioned for the play, got it. My first one, I guess I didn't really think about it until years later, how big that is to actually audition for the very first thing that I auditioned for, to actually book the very first thing that I auditioned for. I mean,
right.
So,
and didn't have to give up no money.
And that, no, I didn't have to do anything. So that play lasted 3 months, and I learned the ins and outs. It was 3.5 months. I learned all the ins and outs of production, stage design, all the just wardrobe, everything that goes into it. And during that time, I declared my major in performance theater and drama. And I was on the road to being an actor from then, from my first time on stage, that very visceral and very real interaction that you got with a live audience. There's nothing like it. I love television and film is fun as well, but there's nothing like doing a performance in front of a live audience. And once I got that, I realized the impact, positive and negative, because if kids love something, they'll tell you. If kids hate it, they'll tell you that too. And I literally, during that play, I fell in love with that. And I said, oh, I'm an actor. Okay. So everything, once I declared my major, everything that I did in my life has been in alignment with me being an actor. So once I became an MC, I had somebody ask me if I could MC an event for him. And I said, well, I've never done it, but I can keep a crowd entertained. So I did it. it went off well, that was another notch. Like, okay, there's another thing that I can do. I learned how to host. All of those different things. For me, once I realized that I am an entertainer, that I'm an actor, I said, okay, so everything that I do from here on out is going to lend to me acting, because that's something I can do until I die. So that's the long and short version of how I got started. And I can keep going, but I'd rather you guys ask questions because, obviously I started in Indiana, but now I'm in California and I've been in Hollywood for 25 years. So,
No, that's fantastic, man. I appreciate the fact that you found your passion, and you're even more it sounds like you're more passionate about it now than even when you found out it was your passion. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah,
it's because I know who I am now. Back then, I didn't even know who I was. I was trying to figure it out. So, doing this call with you guys the day before my birthday, talking about something that I've been doing for literally more than 2 decades. I've been in Hollywood acting and in this town, in this market, for half my life. So that's a blessing. I know who I am. I know what my instrument is, and I love what it is that I do, but it's damn sure not for the faint of heart, because it's not easy. It's not easy. It's exhausting.
You know what?
Go ahead.
You having said that, I wanted to ask you about something in particular that has come to light here recently.
Okay.
The series Obi Wan Kenobi on Disney Plus now is turning into a big hit. And the actress who plays Third Sister, her first name is Moses. I don't remember her last name.
Ingram.
Moses Ingram. She
Moses
has been
Ingram,
getting some pretty solid venom from fanboys because her character, for whatever reason, they don't. Well, not for whatever reason, because she's black and a woman. That the fanboys are up in arms about her playing this particular character. Was there ever?
Why?
Because she's black and a woman in the Star Wars universe.
Well, that's what the fanboys are saying, because I happen to have watched both of them, and she's doing a fantastic job. So I don't understand why anybody would be up in arms about anything.
Yeah,
I think part of what was being said was, I didn't mean to cut you off, Uncle John.
No, go ahead.
But it was a situation in which they felt it was possible that maybe, and this is just hearsay, but that possibly Disney had kind of put it out there that she was going to get some backlash and so on. So when it happened, they tried to put it as she was kind of like the scapegoat. The same thing with like the whole John Boyega and all of that type of stuff that was going on with the other black actors for the Disney franchise. But the thing is, I said, despite what anything else that was happening, and she actually did a video herself. She explained that she herself was getting DMs from people and things like that, calling her an N-word and things like that. Now, a lot of it has to do, and this is the problem I think with people. You have fans, and then you have these people that are so diehard for like the original. They can't stand any kind of change, any type of character, development of anything new. And what happens is in this situation, I think a lot of people don't like her character. They don't like who she plays or what have you. Her character is made to be kind of like nuisance, to be headstrong, to be, what I'm saying, problematic.
Yeah.
That is what her character is. And there are people who don't like it. And instead of separating the actor from the character, you got people that just go all in. They just can't stand just all of it now. So you're now part of that. And if you ask me, I think that's what she's getting. Now, mind you, it doesn't account for someone being a racist and calling her the N-word and things like that. But I think it's a lot more to do with the people not being able to separate her from the character. You remember the gentleman from The Love Boat? He played Isaac. on the
Yes.
Love Boat. He did certain drinks, the bartender. After a
Yes.
while, I remember hearing, something about him saying he was so sick of hearing his name Isaac and so on like that. Like everybody came and approached him as that character from the Love Boat, and it was driving him insane, pretty much. You know what I'm saying, and so on. And but the thing is, in his case, I guess in a way, people like the character. In this case, there's a lot of people that don't like the character, and I'm like, you're missing the point. This is the role she is playing. She has to be this. I get the feeling, just being a Star Wars fan, there's going to be some kind of growth or something like that from her, or so on. But you have to have that, that beginning nuisance of a character before you can see that part of growth, or else it becomes a Mary Jane. But I think in a way, this is what we're seeing. But I myself can't understand why people have to go on the deep end and now start attacking you just because they don't like your character. In this case, they're making racist comments where she's actually getting them in her messaging.
Is that where you were about to go, John?
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to out is because you were a character on Star Trek Enterprise for a while, and
Yes.
what the fanboy nation with these sci-fi series don't seem to understand is that we as black nerds who watch these shows are craving characters of color. Are craving. When I was telling Rod the other day, when I was a kid and Empire Strikes Back came out, and I'm about to embarrass myself, so y'all please try not to laugh. I
Brace
wrote my own
yourself.
particular piece of fan fiction where I wrote a sequel to The Empire Strikes Back where Lando Calrissian had a son, and of course I was going to play his son.
Of
So
course.
it was just, I personally, and I can only speak for me, I've been looking for strong characters of color throughout the years. And now that we're finally getting them, there seems to be a backlash that Disney is having diversity hires, if you will, because they hired this actress because she's a black woman and not because she's the best actress for the role. Now, I'm going to be honest. I continue watching Obi Wan not just because she's a black woman, but because she's perfect for this role. And
Yes.
and I see her. I wouldn't see Third Sister as anybody else. Have you come up against in some of the roles that you played where fans of a show or people who follow the show have been like, oh, he shouldn't be who he is in this particular role because they just hired him because he's black or whatever? Have you ever encountered any of this?
I can't say that I have, no, because for most actors, you're fighting just to get hired. At the end of the day, we are all out here, black, white, Asian, it does not matter. You are grinding because you want somebody to see what your degree of special is and put that, hopefully that will be a fit with whatever their property is.
Got it.
That's how I will speak for myself. I know what it is that I bring. And for me, I'm probably the opposite, because if something says gangbanger or drug dealer, I've been in Hollywood 25 years. I've auditioned for probably 24 drug dealers, gangbangers of some sort, and I've never booked one. Not one. I don't even usually get callbacks for those. So it's a different beast, and I have to be very selective because I want to keep working. But so there are conversations that I'll have in private that, unlike my counterparts, I'm not going to have in public. I'm not going to have on a podcast for something that's going to live in infamy and then them go, Anthony said this. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. You're not doing that for me. I appreciate you, but no. So what I will say is, it is absolutely a challenge to make sure you're not pigeonholed, but it's a challenge just to get the job. I go in for so many jobs that I know I'm perfect for. I know I can act. I know I have the chops to do whatever the job is. And then I see the person that they hired. No shade on anybody else, but they're not me. They don't bring what it is that I bring. And I go, okay, so I'm not going to hate that person for that. That one wasn't for me. I know what you're talking about, but for me in my career, I don't believe that. And it's possible that somebody could have hired me because I'm black, but I don't know that to be true, so I can't speak to that. I've never it's never gone well for any of the people that try to buck the system by fighting it in the public sector. It doesn't go well for it never goes well for any of them. Any of them. Male, female, black, white, doesn't matter. It doesn't go well. So I tend to not do it. I just don't. Like, this is just what it is. Nobody is making me be an actor. This is what I chose. There are some really shitty parts about it. Pardon my French, Miss Ma'am.
We cuss
but
on
there
this
are
show.
there are some things that I
You got that
absolutely love
motherfucker right.
about it. There are some things that I absolutely love about it. But this is what my choice is. So I don't sit and bitch and moan about the things that I hate about it because I can get out of it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So that's my take on that whole situation. Like, I feel terrible for her. I think I just watched it with my son the other day. I think she's doing a fantastic job. And
of course,
I think that's one of the beautiful things about science fiction is because it should not just be a designation of something that is only for black people or something that's only for white people. It's sci-fi. There's aliens. Everybody should be able to love it equally, however they want to. So the fact that the fanboys that go in like that, and I'm gonna say fanboys because I've never met any fangirls who have ever made anybody feel that way.
Yep.
It's sad that they go to such an extreme for something that should be universally loved.
Right.
Yep.
I just don't understand how you can have a universe where you have all different skin color creatures with 5 horns, 3 eyes, 2 toes, or whatever. But this is what you decide to lose your shit over. A black woman who is a Sith Inquisitor. This is what you want to have a problem with. Like, I
And
don't
because
understand.
of that,
I don't get it.
and because I don't try to figure it out, because no matter what it is that I do, my contribution to humanity is by being the best artist that I can. That's it. Mine is not to try to help racists figure out why they're racist, to try to get them to not be in that space. It's not to try to convert you to being a good human being. Like, I hope in the work that I do, you are converted, but that's not what my job is. My job is to leave this world a little bit better than it was before I got here through some sort of artistic contribution. And once I got to that place as a grown man, those things, although they absolutely hurt my spirit because it's just not necessary, I don't let it affect me like I used to when I was younger. I would get mad about something like that when I was younger. I don't have time to get mad about that. It's like, all right, well, you don't want to see me as the John Stewart Green Lantern. That's on you. But if they cast me as the John Stewart Green Lantern, I'm going to destroy that damn role. I'm just telling you. So you can be mad about it. I'm going to let you do that. That's how I approach it. And I hope she uses the fuel from all of those haters and detractors, and I hope she allows that to fuel her to work even harder and to shine even brighter in that role, because that's all that she can control. It
Hey,
hurts and it fucking sucks, but
Yeah.
they're not going to
Yeah.
stop.
You
So
better
we
preach.
just let
nope.
them, I kind of let them fester in their own iniquities by themselves. Let her keep
Man,
shining.
There you
man, you
go.
better go and preach, man. I'm getting
Hey,
fired
I'm
up just
just,
sitting here.
did you just let
So,
out a little inside info about John Stewart Green Lantern just
uh-oh.
Stewart
now?
Green
no,
Lantern.
I
Yeah.
wish. I mean, you're not getting an exclusive. I've been, I've been talking up me as the John Stewart Green Lantern for since I read that comic book years ago. I was like, I'd be perfect to play him. I want to be John Stewart Green Lantern. I heard Common was doing it or somebody. Like they'll pick
Oh
somebody that's
shit.
I don't, and don't quote me on that, but that's what I heard a long time ago.
Yeah, I
So
heard that
they're
too.
gonna, whoever it is that they put, they're not going to think about somebody like me who would just completely body that role. They're going to pick somebody that they feel is bigger in their eyes, that they want to have that role. Like to me, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson is perfect to play Black
The
Adam.
Black Adam.
What
Yes.
what
Right.
other
Yeah.
actor? Who else could you get to do it? I think it's brilliant. There are
Yeah.
some roles that, like Chadwick Boseman, was perfect as
Black.
the Black Panther. Of course,
Yeah.
as a black
Yeah.
man, I was like, yo, I wish I could have been the Black Panther. But then I watched it and I was like, no, stop. He is he is
Yep.
T'Challa. He,
Yeah. Yeah.
like you
Exactly.
just, so I just put stuff out there, and if it's not John Stewart, maybe I have to create my own superhero or supervillain or somebody that I do if they won't put me in those roles.
You know what? I'm glad you said that because I wanted to touch on Miles Away.
Yes, sir.
So, you created this graphic novel, Miles Away. Can
I
you tell us
did.
a little bit about it?
Absolutely. Miles Away, I created in 2001 when I first, well, during the time that I was on Enterprise, but I didn't focus on it. I just knew at the time I wanted to do a cartoon. And this was long before people in Hollywood were buying up graphic novel properties and everything. So I got some initial artwork and then essentially just kind of sat on everything. And
Mm-hmm.
fast forwarding again, because I put this story in the book. So forgive me, you guys are asking me. I wanted to do this podcast. I mean, I wanted to do your grumpy old nerds after my book was done, because I knew you were going to be asking me a bunch of questions and I'm going to have to go, okay, that's in chapter 8 of the book.
Right.
That's in
Reading the book or
like
not.
a lot
Yeah.
of this stuff. When the book is done, if you guys are okay with it, I'll make sure that we get you guys a copy and you can read it, and then we can have a different conversation, because
Okay.
then these questions,
Absolutely.
it's not you asking them in this place. You're going to be like, oh, okay, wait, you went through this, let's talk about. So
Yep.
that's why this is
Yep.
that's why this is a little discombobulated for me. Forgive me, but
No, it's good.
this is where I went off on a tangent. Forgive me. Where was I?
So tell us, because
Miles Away.
we gonna wait for the book to get in depth.
Yeah.
But
Well, no. Okay. I'll give you the abridged version of how Miles Away came to be,
okay.
because I can only say so much about Miles Away right now. I am in a negotiation for a company that has licensed
Nice.
it to turn it into a
Nice.
cartoon. So
Good.
21
Good.
years later, I came up with the idea in 2001, and literally 21 years later, I am now, my attorney and the company's attorneys are in a negotiation about what the terms are going to be to turn it into a cartoon. So I can only speak to so much. I can tell you that animation takes time, but just know that it is going to come. It's just
That
however long it takes for us to finish this deal and then for them to get the animation in production and all of that stuff. So in getting it started, 2001, I met up, let's see, I had a few ideas of what I wanted to do. There was an artist named, if you guys have ever heard of Ugly Dolls, have you
Yeah.
ever heard of an Ugly Doll toy line?
Hmm.
It's a global brand.
Okay.
It's absolutely huge. The Ugly Doll line was created by a guy named David Horvath and his wife Sun Min. And David and I met. He was a fan of Star Trek Enterprise. He was a Trekkie, and he and I met through another person. And I told him I was looking for some artwork because I was thinking of doing this cartoon, and I gave him a description of who the kid was. He gave me a few art pieces, drew up a few things, and I liked what he did. I paid him for what he did, but it didn't fully capture what I had in my head, because I'm the Gene Roddenberry of the universe. I'm the George Lucas. I can create it, but I can't draw stick figures. So I had to hire the people to do the stuff that I can't. So I loved what David did, and I put it in the book, because I thought he did a great job with it, but it didn't have the feeling that I wanted it to have. And then we fast forward, it was essentially put on a shelf for many years. And then I do a movie called I'm Through with White Girls, in which I played a graphic novelist. And the person, a guy, I think he was the artistic director. His name was Philip Boutte, and he was an artist who was still in college at the time. And just in working on that show, I told him about my graphic novel. I mean, about the cartoon that I wanted to do, and gave him it. I said, this is what the characters are like. If you want to take a stab at drawing them, I'll see about paying you. I want to get the best artwork. So it took us a really long time of going back and forth, but he was able to capture in conceptual art what I saw in my head. So by the time he and I are done, it's maybe 2 years later, and 2, 3 years later, something like that. And then I have 20 characters that I ended up paying for getting flushed out.
Nice.
And then I'm just sitting on those characters because, again, I grew up reading comics, but that was because I was abused growing up, and comic books were my escape from the pain that I was feeling. Like I said, you guys are going to learn a lot when you read my book. Like the Star Trek, the Travis that everybody knows and loves, I had a life long before that,
Right.
So comic books were my escape from a lot of the pain that I was in. That love of comics eventually translated into cartoons. So He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, the Transformers, they would have all of those moral messages at the end of the show. You guys we're all about the same age, so you know what I'm talking about.
Of course, yeah.
He-Man would come on and tell the kids not to talk to strangers, and Tila would come and say, you can't, all of those different things. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So I wanted that for myself. And once I got all of those images from Phil, I essentially sat on them while I kept making my way around Hollywood, trying to figure out who could help bring them to life. And one year at San Diego Comic-Con, I don't know if you guys have ever been, but it's one of the country's largest
It's on the bucket list.
It's huge. I don't know what it's going to be like now post-COVID, but they used to get over 100,000 people at these events. So I went.
Grumpy Old Nerds will eventually have a presence there. I'm putting that.
Absolutely. Yes, speak it into existence. And because I said that from miles away, and then I literally just paid to make sure that made sure miles away was a presence there. I got my graphic novel done. I rented this booth space. I did that same thing. Well, one year when I was there, I met a really talented, he's a graphic novelist himself, named Brandon Easton. And Brandon was a fan of mine. He was a fan of mine from Star Trek Enterprise, but he came up to me because of that movie I did, I'm Through with White Girls. This is literally God. This is a synergy that God put together, because he came up and he said, I don't know how you did your research, but you depicted what my life is. He himself is a graphic novelist. That's what he does. And the way I portrayed my character in that, he said, I don't know how you did your research, but I feel like you literally were speaking my life. And we just developed a friendship. And once I told him about my graphic novel, about what the artwork and stuff that I had already been talking to a few people about turning it into a graphic novel instead of trying to just keep jumping into a cartoon.
Okay.
And they, when Brandon told me he was a graphic novelist, I said, well, do you think you could take the material that I have and create the first graphic novel so that I can see about getting that sold and getting it turned into a cartoon? And he said, yes. That partnership with he and I produced my first graphic novel, and he connected me with Lion Forge. If you guys ever saw the short film Hair Love, it won the Oscar for best short film, best animated short film.
Yes.
The company that won for Hair Love licensed my graphic novel to be turned into a cartoon.
Nice.
So I'm in the process of a negotiation with them. They have a potential third party person, and I went to initially, before I went to anybody else, after getting a few pieces of artwork, I went to Disney, and they had already bought the Marvel catalog for $4.2 billion. So they told me they couldn't do Miles Away because they had that catalog. I went to Warner Brothers, and they were doing a bunch of in-house stuff, so they wouldn't take it. I went to Cartoon Network. They told me it was too similar to Ben 10, and Miles Away is literally nothing like Ben 10. But that's what he told me. So I after doing it that way, I said, all right, well, if the big wigs won't do it, then I'll see if I can do it independently. And partnering with Brandon gave me the initial graphic novel to be able to do it. But again, that process took a long time. People love the idea, but just trying to get them to write a check, it's hard to get people.
That's a whole
People
nother
talk
thing.
great, but until they write a check, it's just a bunch of talk.
Yeah, exactly.
As we all know.
Right.
So,
One of the people in chat asked a pretty good question. It said, "Is there any chance of seeing you in an Enterprise era sequel on Paramount Plus? Since they have a lot of Star Trek content right now."
you know what? I love that, but I'm going to say no because I don't know all of the full details about why the show was canceled. Apparently, my Trek brothers, Dominic Keating and Connor Trenier, they have a podcast called Shuttle Pod Podcast, and they interviewed Rick Berman and Brannon Braga. So if you guys, this is a plug for their show, because if you guys or any of your listeners want to know the story of why Enterprise was canceled, then look up their podcast, because they just did that interview. Whatever those reasons, and that brings me back to answering your question, whatever reasonings were behind why the show was canceled is why it will not come back. Because now they've moved. That's what I say. That's what I believe. I will tell you, if they do bring it back, absolutely. Would I come back as Travis and play my own grandfather? Yeah, my hair's longer, but I still look the same. Get rid of the beard. I could play. I'd look like Travis today if I went and got a haircut right now.
Right.
Absolutely. I hear. I've had a lot of fans ask me that over the years, and literally around the world. I don't think so, because we're in the J.J. Abrams universe now. And if they went back to do Enterprise, I'm not speaking on it. I'm just saying that's where they are.
I know.
If they went back to do Enterprise, then you have to go back to Rick and Brannon. You can't. It's not you. You know what I mean? You can't try to put us in the J.J. Abrams universe, and they're not going to bring Enterprise back and say, okay, Rick and Brannon, we know you created that one, but we want to have J.J. Abrams do his stuff to it now.
Right.
So I personally don't think it's ever going to happen. Here's what I tell everybody. Look, the original series went 3 years. We went 4. So we were blessed to go longer than the original series.
Right. Exactly. A lot of people don't know that, man. They thought it was like a really long running series, and it wasn't. It just got really, really popular through syndication. Yeah.
And that's what and a lot of people have found Enterprise the same way.
Right.
A lot of people have been chiming in to Enterprise going, "Man, I wish I had watched this back then." That type of thing.
Right.
I've heard that for years now. What were you going to say, Uncle John?
Well, what I was going to say is if I know that you in the beginning said that you had to help your son with his homework. And
yes,
man,
and I'm like, it's 6:30 now. Yes.
but listen, I love your energy. You brought something to this show that I don't think we've had before, and I sincerely appreciate you for coming on. And I bestow upon you the designate Uncle Anthony from henceforth.
Thanks, my man. I try to give him what knowledge I can, and I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to meeting you.
We never talked about Star Trek.
No, we didn't. Well, we talked a little bit about it.
We just did. I'll answer. What are you talking
about? No.
Okay, Percy. Ask your question.
my simple question was, how did you end up with the role?
Well, see, and that's what I was about to say, Percy. You're about to say something that is literally in the chapter. I do a Star Trek chapter. I do a Star Trek chapter called My Trek Life. So the two biggest roles that I've played in my career in Hollywood, Travis Mayweather on Star Trek Enterprise and Dr. Andre Maddox on General Hospital. I'm an Emmy-nominated actor for the work that I did on General Hospital, but I'm still more widely known for the work that I did on Enterprise. So I dedicated a chapter in the book to each of them. And that's why Percy, I'm not ignoring the question. I'm going to say,
just give me a copy of the goddamn book. That's all.
Let me come back on. Let me come because actually that's what I'm going to be doing when I finish helping my son. My editor used to work for Simon & Schuster, and he said, "Anthony, I love what you've done, but because Star Trek is the biggest thing that you've done in your career, I want us to add more to that chapter." So he's having me write literal Star Trek stories. I've had to watch episodes that I've never seen to jog my memory about things from the show so that then I could write a story about it. And I actually tell the entire story of how I auditioned initially and how I auditioned on Voyager. I went in again with Ron Surma on Voyager. I went in for an initial audition for Enterprise after being remembered by Ron Surma. I literally tell the entire story. So I feel like if I tell you right now, Percy, you're going to be like, damn it, he already said all this. So
listen, man. I want to hear.
Because we've done this as long as we have, I am going to go help my son. Let me get the book done. And once I get it, I'll get it to you guys. And then we can talk and you can ask questions from that sort of informed place. Is that cool, Percy?
Do I have a choice? I don't have a choice in the matter. So that's it. So,
hey, as long as in the book, as long as you have in the book, you're talking about that cinematic classic, The Man in Apartment 3B.
You know what? I do.
You know we digging up everything, man.
I see. Yeah. Y'all just read my IMDb page. I see what's happening.
There was actually a lot of other.
I'm through with white girls.
Yeah, but you.
What did you say?
He said, I just want to know the motivation behind me through with white girls. That's all, there's got to be a challenge.
Because that was just me auditioning for a piece. I didn't write it or anything. The guy who wrote it.
Okay.
Yeah, no. That was a role that I starred in, and the person who wrote it actually is an executive producer for Blackish.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
So it was done. We did that in, I want to say, like 2006, 7, because I think Enterprise was already over then. So this was just a role for me to get myself back into the grind of doing stuff because I hadn't worked in a while. Again, it's been a grind out here as an actor. So you guys will learn all about that. I promise you. I appreciate
Very
you,
good.
fellas.
All
And
right, we're
Miss
waiting on
Ma'am,
this book,
thank
man. We
you.
definitely got to see it.
So
I
Good guy.
Uncle
appreciate it.
Anthony, Uncle Anthony, when that book comes out, we're lined up. We're first in line. So
No, Mom is first in line. I appreciate you, but
okay,
you'll,
Mama's,
but
yes,
you'll,
we
you know,
got
I got family members that if I even lie and say no, I told Uncle John I would get him his first, they're cussing me out before this
Oh yeah,
podcast
yeah,
even
right.
that's
Be like,
happening.
before
who
it's
the
even
hell is Uncle
done. So
John? Yeah, I know.
I will
That's
make
happening.
sure that I get a copy to you. Absolutely, I promise you that.
And we want you back. Definitely, we want you back, man.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all. Y'all have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Take care,
All
everybody.
right.
All right,
Have a
take
good
care,
one.
sir.
All right.
Bye.
So once again, that was Anthony Montgomery coming to check us out on Grumpy Old Nerds. Look here, we bring you the good stuff. Uncle Anthony was great. We appreciate him. And he will also be at the Urban Nerd Con in Montgomery,
Absolutely.
Alabama, July 29th to July 31st.
Maybe he'll
Please get
answer
your
some
tickets.
Star Trek questions there.
Please get your tickets at theurbannerdcon.net. Jesus Christ. So, Uncle DJ, you up now? You awake? You with us? You back with us?
That next line, I gotta go out and get back, go back into work, but I had
Oh,
to make
Auntie
sure and
Nicole.
come
Okay.
out. So
Well, thank you for hanging out with us, Auntie Nicole.
Get out of that
Go
All right,
supply
work.
closet,
Auntie.
Auntie Nicole.
I know my lights went off and everything. I'll see y'all later.
All right.
All right. So, again, I'm asking, Uncle DJ, you good? We awake now? We can
Yeah,
get it.
yeah. No,
All right.
I'm slow cooking a pork shoulder, and that heat is giving me the flux.
And that I would imagine that liquor too. So, let's step into Rod's books we should be reading. Come on, Rod. Give us something good today, sir.
All right. Cue me up, super producer. All right. First up, Moon Knight number 11,
Yeah.
or Hardware season 1 number 6. Which one would you like to start with? All right. We're gonna start with let's start with Hardware, season 1 number 6. All right. This is the last issue in the Hardware season 1, and you have Hardware going up against his old friend and now enemy, Alva, and his corporation, and he's going up against a supervillain called Reprise, who can duplicate himself, and his suit is in a compromised position. So he's kind of like in a race against time. He's trying to get to Alva and stop him, and take care of Reprise before his suit runs out of juice. And so there's a big battle involved. The battle is pretty much almost the whole issue of the comic, and at the end, you get a cameo from Icon. So you see the universe slowly coming together. Instead of the vague references here and there, you're starting to see how everybody's kind of related. Things are happening around the same time, and there are things happening in some comics that are referenced in Hardware. So you begin to see the new Dakotaverse forming. All right. So
Hey,
next
I
up,
have
go
a
ahead.
question for the group. Could we see Anthony as Icon or Hardware?
I think Hardware definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I also could see him as a live action Prowler, Miles
Oh
Morales' uncle.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay. Well, DC, if
definitely.
you're listening, and I know you're not, please consider Anthony Montgomery for Hardware or Prowler.
Prowler's Marvel though.
Oh, Marvel,
All
yeah.
right, next up, Moon Knight number 11. Moon Knight is going after the villain Zodiac, who has attempted to trash his midnight mission, and has his sights set on his killing his vampire assistant. Yes, you heard that correctly. All right, so right now, Mark Spector is in a somewhat compromised position because he is not at the mission to help save his friend. So he then calls on Khonshu to help him out. And Khonshu, of course, like all gods do, say, I can help you, but there's a price. Of course there is. We won't find out exactly what that is until later, though. But Moon Knight and Tigra, his friend from the Avengers, go rushing toward the Midnight Mission to stop Zodiac. I don't want to give away too much,
I was
but
about to
that's
say,
yeah,
got me hanging on the edge,
right,
man. They go rushing
right,
in and
right. Buy it and find out.
damn.
Buy it and find out.
Well, I have a question again about hardware.
Okay.
So, hardware has completed its run. Static has completed its run. What was the other one that completed its run?
Icon and Rocket.
Icon and Rocket completed their runs.
Yep. And Shadow and not Shadow
Hardware.
Cabinet. Blood Syndicate just started.
Blood Syndicate has started. As a whole, what grade would you give the resurgence of Milestone so far?
As a whole,
Yes.
okay, it started out kind of shaky for me, but as we talked about in a previous show, I kind of realized some things about it, and I was like, some of the pushback or some of the angst that I feel about some of it is now that I'm realizing that some of this stuff is not for me in some ways.
Right.
And so once I realized that, I kind of looked at it in a different way. So overall, I'd probably give it a solid B minus at this point.
B minus. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted because Blood Syndicate was one of my favorite comics of all time.
And keep in mind, I'm giving this grade because I haven't seen a whole lot of Blood Syndicate. Right. But I like the way Blood Syndicate has started.
Yeah. But again, this was the 90s we're talking about 30 years ago when I had a whole different perspective on the world. So I'm kind of scared to pick up Blood Syndicate because I still have old Blood Syndicate in my mind. And if I pick this up, I know it's going to be different. Just from what you told us so far, it's vastly different. Okay, let me ask you this: is Fade still gay?
I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give it away
because there are a lot of character traits that I could see them changing or making different. Because like they did with Static when it went from the Big Bang to a Black Lives Matter rally. And that for me is a solid sticking point, and I think valid, to be very honest. So, but I also understand that the kids would relate more to a Black Lives Matter rally, which is
That's what I was gonna
what
say.
you said is who this comic is for. So I know that Blood Syndicate fundamentally would have to change, but there are certain things about it that I really hope that stay the same. If that makes sense.
I get you. Yeah, I understand exactly what you mean. You want for it to be enough of old Milestone to bring you back and keep you. But it also has to be enough of new Milestone to bring in and keep new readers.
Right.
So it's got to walk a fine line. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I ain't no young whippersnapper anymore. I ain't no young Thundercat. I can't handle some of this nonsense. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm taking this in a totally different direction. Please continue.
No, that's all good. All good. The last one is Shadow War Omega. All right, this is the conclusion of Shadow War that's been going on, where the League of Assassins has been trying to hunt down Deathstroke and his son because they believe that he has killed Ra's al Ghul. As it turns out, we find out it actually was not Slade Wilson the whole time, but it was an elaborate setup by someone who was a former DC hero, in fact. And so they were behind the scheme, and they were the one who killed Ra's al Ghul. You have a few of the other villains who had worked with Slade previously, who were hunted by the League of Assassins, who are now come together and they attempt to help out or attempt a last ditch effort to bring Slade back by throwing him into a Lazarus pit. And the results of that show up at the end of the issue and is to be continued in the latest DC Crisis.
Oh my God. Here we go. Just
right.
Okay.
Along with
Yeah,
the death of most of the members of the Justice League.
I about to say, it looks like the death of Spider-Man with that dagger in his head.
So those are the books we should be reading.
We've talked about this before. So is the whole Slade thing, is this villain on villain crime that's happening?
It was. And Batman and the Batman, Robin, and some of the other Bat family were kind of in the middle of it.
But of course, it all leads to a crisis. Jesus Almighty! Just
no, it doesn't lead to it, but the ramifications of it show up in the latest Crisis.
So, DC, and I'm speaking directly to you, DC.
I don't know why.
Warner Brothers, I wish all of you would pay attention to this. I may actually put this episode in an email and send it to you. I don't care. DC, please, I'm begging you, please stop with the crisis shit. I get it. You wanted this to be a legacy type deal. Fine, that's all well and good.
That's their thing.
But it's becoming tiresome. It's becoming worrisome. It's becoming ridiculous. There can't be a crisis every 5 fucking minutes. There can't be a crisis. There's a crisis of the big toe. There's a crisis of the gas. There's a crisis of just stop, man. We get it. Crises are bad.
There's a crisis going to the bathroom.
Yes, yes. I'm over 50, so sometimes I have a crisis going on down there. So I get it, but fucking chill, man. There's got to be something else that you can write about. And this is why I don't fuck with the big two anymore, because at this point, after 40 some odd years of collecting comic books, it's repetitive. Right. And it's the same fucking thing over and fucking over and fucking over. We get every now and again you get a bright spot like a milestone, but it's Marvel and Marvel right now has a big problem of chasing the movies, where they're going to make sure that everything that they do somehow reflects what's going on in the films. Okay, we get it, but there comes a point where there have to be some.
They really don't have to do that
somewhere. They don't. They don't.
Yeah.
Because the movies are chasing the comics, which are chasing the movies. It's an infinite cycle. And eventually it's going to come around and we're just going to be like, you know what? Just stop. Fucking stop.
They're in a different universe. If that's indeed what they're doing, they're making their jobs infinitely harder for no reason. Because the movies happen in a different universe than the comics.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to make comics based on the films, you can do that.
Right.
And base it in that universe and just say that's what you're doing. But I don't know, man.
Truly.
That's making life hard. Trying to come up with a crisis.
For themselves
or
for everybody else.
And,
but the fucked up part about it is that you have younger kids who are experiencing all this for the first time. So, you know, me saying that as a 54-year-old black nerd, okay, that's fine. DC ain't trying to make shit for me anymore. Marvel isn't making shit for me anymore. They're making it for the kids who are coming up who've never seen this. So as long as there's money to be made, fuck me. So, whatever. So
we're gonna wrap
before DJ closes his eyes again.
That's a whole different rabbit hole.
Oh, you just nasty. Uncle Percy, what you got for us?
Nothing. I didn't get my Star Trek question answered, so I don't got nothing.
Oh, salty.
Uncle DJ, what you got for us besides that pork shoulder and the slow cooker?
Man, that pork shoulder gonna be off the chain, baby.
Yeah, you better get that nap in before it's ready so you can eat.
Hey man, switching between the second shift and the third shift ain't no joke, bruh.
So what are you on now?
Still same. 3 days, 2:30 to 10:30, and 2 days on 10:30 to 6:30 in the morning. So I'm covering at the moment, which unfortunately, starting next week, I'm going to be off on Sundays and Mondays. I'm going to be working Wednesdays.
Okay.
So
Well,
it's
yeah,
going to be a minute.
Yeah, you get some sleep, sir, because we can tell you tired.
Yeah.
All right,
Yep.
Uncle Rod, what you got for us?
Hey, it's my birthday tomorrow, so I'm going to celebrate by getting up
That's
and
right.
actually going to work out and get back into it. Yeah, man. I realize I'm going to have to start training for this con.
There you go.
Man, because it's going to
It's
be
going to be
nonstop.
bad, man.
That's going
Yeah,
to be 4 days, not 3 days. 3 days, nonstop,
3
man.
days.
So
Right.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
we all need to get up and do something. Well, except for Uncle Percy, who's retired and he ain't got to do shit now. So
You ain't got to do nothing.
Well, I start working on Monday.
That's right. He did
whatever,
say he was getting another job.
whatever. You just being superfluous now, man. You just trying to put shit on top of icing on the cake. You
So
whatever,
what?
man.
So booty? What?
And you know what? I wanted to bring this up. What was the name of that artist that Anthony was talking about? Rick Boutte? That's a great name.
Gotta love it.
That's a
Gotta love
great
it.
name. Uncle
Hey,
Roy,
so
anything coming up on the network?
next week, hold on. Next week we got to talk Obi Wan
Yes, absolutely.
because the newest episode came out today.
I'm about to say, what
saw it.
happened to that?
Hey, today
We got
was
8 minutes. We got 7 minutes.
No,
today was kind of
no. Look, in 8 minutes, your ass be asleep again. Uncle Roy, anything coming up on the network?
Yeah, we're gonna have our interview with Rob Morgan actually next week too.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll be awake. I'll be awake for that one. Actually,
So,
I'll be at work. I'll be at work for that one, so I might have to take my laptop to work. Y'all just watch me check people in.
that would be interesting. Why not?
extra content.
There you
So,
go.
once again, we want to thank Anthony Montgomery for joining us today. Again, brother, got a lot going on. More blessings to him. Seems like he's got a lot of stuff coming up, too. And we look forward to the book coming out. And when it comes out, he will definitely be back on the show. Also going to talk about the Urban Nerd Con, July 29th through the 31st. Please get your tickets now, theurbannerdcon.net. You'll see all kind of interesting people and things, and you'll see the grumpy old nerds as well. So you want to check us out. Anything else? Bueller.
Yeah,
So for Uncle DJ, Uncle Rod, Uncle Roy, Uncle Percy, and Auntie Nicole, and again, thanks to our special guest Anthony Montgomery, I am Uncle John. Night night.